and thank you for joining me on the show today. This is the Now Talks, a collection of inspiring personal stories and leadership lessons from some of the world's most iconic leaders. It is the weekly podcast for women in leadership, brought to you by Nations of Women. My name is Dr. Tina Allton, and I'm your host for today and the coming weeks. Baptism. We're also going to have, the rest of the family coming to visit. Of course, those of you that know, I do have a very large family. I have 7 kids, 2 grandkids, and when we all get together, it's like 20 of us. So of course, we had all the family coming and a few other friends from church and just our family, extended community. So my husband and I had been preparing the house along with the kids as we're preparing the house, making sure everything is okay. But my husband loves to garden. He loves to garden. And our granddaughters, our eldest granddaughter, who's 4, loves playing with train. And my husband does love playing with trains. So we do have some, module railway in the garden, and he has a couple of trains that are very special. When the grandkids come, he takes it out and runs on the tracks with steam, noises, and all of those things. So he was busy preparing for the train side of things and asked me to help him in the garden. And of course, I'm like, sure, absolutely. I get in the garden, I get the shears or, the clippers, whatever you call it. And then just, started attacking. And it's like, no, 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 don't do that. If you do that, you're going to kill it. You're going to spoil the environment for this plant. I think it was a rose plant. We have a beautiful, beautiful rose plants in the garden. We have some peonies, we have some lavender, with all sorts of beautiful flowers. I don't know, the names of each of those. Um, so anyway, he had to come by and then just help me to understand, again, coming back to the rose plant, understand where I needed to cut and why I needed to cut. And I'm like, but I mean, what does it matter? Because I don't know anything about plants and flowers, and it's not my kind of thing. But he loves that. So he was like, if you don't do that, or if you move this from here to there around this time, it's not the right environment. It's going to kill it. It's going to stall the growth. It's going to X, Y, X, Y, Z. Yeah. So I think that's, throughout that conversation, with my husband, and then today, as I've been preparing to record the podcast, I thought, wow, how important is it that, the environment in which we're planted, the environment in which we're spending all our time in, really does have a very big impact on us and how we can grow, or how we can stay stagnant, or how we can actually thrive, right? And I think as women, as leaders, we're really not going to be as effective and impactful if we're not growing and we're just staying as we are, just being stagnant. So it's therefore very, very important in terms of being, creating or developing, maybe is the best way, developing a sense of awareness of our environment at every time, every stage in our lives and in our leadership. So coming back again to the book of my wonderful mentor, John C. Maxwell, it's the 15 inviolable laws of growth. And so I want us to look at how then, if it matters what point we, let's say, cut a rose plant in order to um accelerate it being able to reproduce more rose flowers, right? And then apply that to our own leadership, then it's equally important for us to develop the awareness of our environment, or my environment, or your environment, and therefore how that contributes to your growth, right? Your surroundings can either give life or take life out of you. And I have a quote here: the first step towards success is taking when you refuse to be a captive of the environment you first find yourself in. I'm going to repeat that. It's about Mark Cain. The first step towards success is taken So anytime you refuse to be a captive of the environment you first find yourself in, that is the first step to success, according to Matt Cain. And so I again, thinking through the book, I think at every point in our lifetime, at every point in our lives, there really comes a need for us to change our environment. If you think about the plants, right? You start a plant in, let's say, a little pot, or even when you go to the nurseries, right? When you go to the flower nurseries, they start them off. Even the mighty oak tree was once a seedling, a very small plant in a very small pot. And then, of course, in the right time, it has to be transferred into, the soil, into the ground. But if it's not transferred and it's kept in that pot, guess what happens? It will ultimately, immediately stifle its ability to grow. And this oak tree will be stifled. Its growth, the very life of it will be stifled because it's not planted in the right environment. So at every point in your lifetime, in my lifetime, I'm going to have to change. I will have the need to change my environment, to change my surroundings, to change those that I surround myself with, to change those that I spend time with, right? And so I want to announce to you it's time for change. It is time for change, right? Why is it time for change? Because if you think about it, the world is changed so much. The world has changed so much just in the last 3 years. How we used to live, how we used to do business, how we used to do life, family, healthcare, banking, everything in almost every nation has been impacted. And therefore, I think it's quite obvious then to say that it is time for us to change. And really, change depends on your choices. Change really comes down to the choices that you make, right? Um, it's possible it's possible to change without growing, right? But it's impossible to grow without changing. And one of the keys to help us make the right changes that allows us to grow is really down to knowing the difference between what is a problem and what is a challenge, right? And what you can change and what you can't change. A fact of life you can't really change. A fact of life can be I am short, I am woman, I am black, I am Caucasian, I am red, whatever it is, right? Some of these things are a fact of life that you just can't change. But some, problems or challenges, for example, you can change. And even with the fact of life, if I take myself, like, I'm short, I'm a woman, I'm African, whatever. I mean, these are all facts of change. Does it impact sometimes the opportunities, the boardroom, situation? Absolutely it does. But do I have to be stifled by those facts of life? No. Can I do something about it? Absolutely. What can I do? It is to change my attitude. And if you're asking, okay, how do I change my attitude? We've already got a podcast on about this on our attitude and how that can really truly impact our leadership. So you can make that decision. You can make that choice to say, you know what, I'm going to change my attitude about this fact of life. I'm going to change my attitude about the fact that I'm a woman, I'm short, I'm African. All of those things are never going to change, but I can absolutely make the choice to change my attitude about it and recognize that, yes, there are other women who are equally African, who are equally short like me, and have been able to make a difference and an impact in their homes, in their communities, in their nations, and globally. And therefore, I'm no different and I can actually make a difference, right? So you can change your attitude towards that. And a problem is something that also you can do something about it. It's something you can grow through, right? And it usually just steps with a very small change in your attitude. When you change your attitude towards a problem, you open yourself up for a world of opportunities, right? A world of opportunities. And one of my mentors that really impacted my life, I would say, round about 2014, 15, they're about Dr. Nido Cuban, High Point University. It's like whether you're a success or failure in life has very little to do with your circumstances, and it has much more to do with your choices, which means the choices that we make has a lot more to do with our success or perhaps our failures. And even with failure, failure is never ever the end. Failure is always an what do you call it? Another opportunity for you to try again. And I'm not sure, I think it was a week or so ago, I was doing some studying because I'm writing my book, which is coming out later this year, and researching, the brand, the company 7-Up, and how they came up with the name, the company name 7-Up, because they had been trying to formulate, and, really lots of other like to cut a long story short, they'd been trying first time, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth time, down the seventh time they tried, everything worked out as they had expected. So it was like 6 down, 7 up, and that's how they came up with a brand name. And so I think how we change our attitude, the choices that we make, the choice to continue, the choice to get back up again, the choice to try again, the choice to not give up, all of those things has everything to do with being successful or not being successful. And so, how then do we make the choices that help us to grow? One is really to assess your current environment, right? What is your current environment? What is the current environment that you're in? And I think we all should be able to know the environment you're in. Is your environment making you uncomfortable? Um, yeah. Is it making you uncomfortable? Is it making you comfortable? Okay. And another way, according to John C. Maxwell, you can judge if you're growing in a conducive environment is to discern whether you're looking forward to what you're doing or looking back at what you've done. So if you're looking forward to what it is you're doing, you know that you're in an environment that is really challenging you and helping you to grow. But if you find that you're actually looking backwards to what you've done, then you're just stuck and being stagnant, right? Because you're just looking backwards. And if you're looking backwards and that makes you feel like your future is dull, or that it's perhaps not very exciting, it's restrictive, it's confining, then it really is time to make changes. And another way that he talks about is, questions that you can ask yourself. And you have to be honest about these questions. I always talk about we have to have honest conversations with ourselves, right? You cannot fool yourself. You can fool everybody else, but your true self always knows the truth. So one of the questions is, when you think about music, what kind of songs lift you up? And I had a friend that was like, I'm feeling sad, so I'm listening to all these sad songs. And it's like, how on earth are you going to get yourself out of this sadness? If you're sad and you're still listening to sad stories, it's just, you're not going to get out of it, right? It's like adding more fuel to the fire, right? And when you think about thoughts, your thoughts, when you consider your thoughts, what ideas are speaking to you? Are these ideas that are bringing growth, ideas that are challenging you, or ideas that are just like, you know what, well, whatever, right? Experiences, what experiences are exciting? What really lights you up, right? And friends, are they friends that are encouraging you? Or are they friends that are just like, well, they can't even see your worth? What is that? When you think about how you relax or your downtime, what activities actually brings you alive? What brings you back? What invigorates you? Right. When you think about your soul, yourself, the very core of who you are, or the spiritual aspect of who you are. For me as a woman of faith, my faith is a very big part of who I am. And so, what spiritual experiences or exercises strengthen you? For me, it's praying. For me, it's praise. For me, it's just, being sometimes still before the Lord. What is it? What exercises brings you strength? When you think about hope, how hopeful are you? What dreams are inspiring you? Or do you even actually have dreams? Right? You have to take a dream day and dream again. You have to be able to dream, to catch on to that hope. When you think about home, what family members are caring for you? Your family care for you. Do you care about your family as well? When you think about being charitable, right? What blessings activate you? Memories. So this is really going back again. What memories bring you smile? Or are all your memories just full of just sadness, being meh? Books. What have you read that changes you, right? And for me, I love to read. You'd see there's loads of books behind me, right? And whenever I read, I make up my mind that I'm going to make a commitment. I'm going to take one thing that I learned from that book and I'm going to apply it to my life because I want to grow. I want to be better than who I was yesterday, last week, last month, whatever you want to think about it, right? And remember that it takes 21 days to create and form a habit. So for 21 days, I would break whatever it is down into smaller steps so it's easy for me to do. I will not be overwhelmed. I will not be afraid. I will not give myself excuses. And for 21 days, I strive. I do my very best to, be consistent, creating consistency in applying that in my life. And you have to change yourself and you have to change your environment, right? So if you change just yourself and not your environment, then your growth will be slow and it will be difficult. If you also change your environment but not yourself, again, your growth will be slow but not so much difficult, because oftentimes when we're not growing, we think, okay, fine, you know what, I'm just going to change myself. But most of the time, it really starts with your environment. So you change your environment, then you change yourself. That is how you can be able to grow a lot more faster, right? A lot more faster. So how are you going to be able to grow? If you think back to, thinking about plants or flowers or, being a gardener, right? When you put the plant or the seed into the right soil, what happens? Growth happens, right? You think about yourself as well, or even plants need, they need air, right? We breathing, what would we breathing? We breathe in oxygen, right? So as we take in oxygen, it's the air. And when you inhale like air filled with smoke, what does it do? It chokes the life out of you, right? So therefore, the air that you breathe, I don't mean just that, but it's like, what brings you alive, right? And that is your purpose. So when you think about, taking in that deep breath, ah, right, and breathing out, right? What is keeping you alive? What is your purpose? And are you feeling alive about your purpose? When you think about the climate that you live in, is it sustaining you? And that is the people, right? Because we're all made for community. Nobody is an island. And so the people around you, are they sustaining you or are they actually shaking your foundations, right? Very, very important. And then you also want to consider, changing who you spend time with. The people you spend time with is very, very important. And I think by now, if you're listening to this as a woman in leadership, you would already know this, research that you're the sum of the five people that you hang around with, right? You're the sum of the five people you hang around with. And therefore, it's very, very important that you are in the right circle of friends, or that you're spending your time in the right environment with the right people that would actually sustain you, people that will, breathe life to you, people that will challenge you. And one of the things that I've learned pretty quickly in my leadership journey was having accountability partners, and actually it's something we do as well in our we Nations of Women. We have a group we call Thinking Partners, and these are leaders that we come together, just a table of between 6, 8, or 12 coming together, meeting quarterly and some monthly, really sharing our vision. What is your vision? What are you working on? And how can I help you? How can I create opportunities for you? And within the thinking partners, basically, we do have accountability partners. Why is this important? They would help you to stick to the right choices, the right decisions, helping you to avoid making wrong ones. And really, for me, accountability partner, my accountability partner, amazing, amazing woman. Really, just the love, unconditional love is just incredible. And I see that she desires my success, and likewise, I desire her success. They are mature with me, and help me to be mature as well. And we were able to openly ask each other questions that really expands our thinking, questions that stretches us, questions that help us to really look inside and be dead honest with ourselves. And our accountability partner also helps when we need help, right? Because the truth is, you're going to need help at some point in your life. So you want to be able to have people in your life that helps you. You're not going to be able to grow and get to your destiny, your purpose all by yourself. If you want to reach your potential, you're going to need people. And one of the most significant pieces that you need in your growth journey in your environment is the people around you, right? Is really the people around you. So change yourself in your new environment. And that is change yourself in your new environment. I think it's fairly straightforward to be able to understand. And sometimes what I've done is to make some of my goals public as well. So if you think about it within our thinking partners table, accountability, I make my goals, public. It's like this is what we're working on, and this is XYZ, and it helps us to be able to stay focused, stay on track. And by all means, sharing your goals, your vision doesn't mean that you're going to be able to you're going to automatically achieve all your goals and all your dreams and aspirations. No, not necessarily, right? But it just helps you to be able to stay focused and then stay on track and not be distracted, right? So focus on the moment. You have to think about, every moment that you get is an opportunity. Today is the opportunity you're going to get, because nobody's promised tomorrow, right? And there is a song that says, tomorrow never comes. If tomorrow never comes, right? Um, and so we're not promised tomorrow. So you have to take today. You have to take the opportunities that present itself to you today. Today is when everything that's going to happen from now on begins, because today is what you have. That's why it's called present, right? It is the present, and you have to take the gifts, the blessings that God gives you in the day. And some of it would be through people, some of it would be I remember once I was invited to go to the United States, and I had 10 days to prepare and say, I said yes immediately. And you know what? When I said yes, that opened doors of many, many opportunities. And I was able to meet many incredible people in the course of that. So again, you have to, once you know your why and you know what you're about and what is your purpose, then when you're presented an opportunity today, even if it feels like a stretch, you got to be able to determine and discern, is this the opportunity that opens the next door of breakthrough for me? And I've said yes to many, many opportunities that were a huge stretch for me. But guess what? They became the door for my next breakthrough and my next breakthrough and my next breakthrough. Now, one thing I must mention is that when you decide to change, when you decide to move forward, when you decide to change yourself, your environment, and to grow specifically, you're going to encounter criticism anyway, right? But as long as you know that, you know what, this is the time that I'm called to, this is the time that I'm called to step out of where I am, right? This is the time for me to come out of this, what do you call it, environment. Then, it's time to just pack your bags, say goodbye, and Mm, I just don't expect any understanding or kindness, because this is, a saying by my friend, by not my friend, but he's a mentor, to me, that I read his books, I read his materials, off the book, and talks about that if it is God's appointed time for you to move from private growth into out into the world, then just get on with it, move forward, say goodbye if you can, but don't expect people to understand you, don't expect people to be kind, but you have to be able to step out boldly to go and meet your destiny. And therefore, growth always requires that you take action. Action always brings criticism, but you have to move forward anyway, right? You have to move forward. People will doubt you. People will think, who do you think you are? All of those things. And it's okay. It's not going to kill you. But as long as you are determined and you're committed to your own growth and you're taking the right steps to come out of environments that are not conducive for you in order to foster healthy growth for you, healthy mindset for you to be actually healthy in your body, then believe in who you have been created to be. Believe in who you have been called to be, because we were all created and equipped to do good works, and greater works will we do. And so just believe. It's not about believing yourself, but believe in who you have been created to be, right? Believe in the purpose for which you were created for. And then do all you can to move forward irrespective of their criticism, right? And as you're growing, remember to take other people on the journey for you. And one of the things that I learned from John Maxwell is, to help you assess your current environment as far as, like, growth is concerned, is a few questions I'm going to read out to you, and you really have to just dig deep and answer correctly. That, others are ahead of you, right? Are you continuously being challenged? Is your focus to look forward? Is the atmosphere in which you're in affirming of who you are? Are you out of your comfort zone, or you're just deadbeat in where you're at now? Do you wake up excited, or do you wake up kind of like feeling, ah, man, right? Do you feel that failure is not your enemy? Are others growing because of, meeting you or engaging with you, right? Are the people around you desiring change, right? And also, are those others in the same environment, are they growing, or are they just staying the same? And growth is modeled and expected. So as you're growing, remember that you're modeling growth. You're a role model for somebody, whether you know it or you don't, whether they've spoken to you or haven't spoken to you before, that you're modeling growth to them and is expected as well. So I do hope that these have been great for you. And you want to think about your personal growth needs in the main three, like three key areas, as being in the right soil, being in the right place, what nourishes you, what is growing, what is helping you to grow, right? Um, and then the right air to breathe. Remember, if you breathe in air that is just filled with smoke, you're going to begin to physically start choking. It's the same, the air in which we hang out in is just keeping you alive, and are you really on track as far as your purpose is concerned, and the right climate to live in, the people that are in your circle right now, are they sustaining you, or are they actually sucking the life from you? And then finally, is to significantly grow, you have to continuously be changing your environment, right? It won't just happen. You're not just going to automatically grow. Now, if you think about a baby, whether you feed a baby, don't feed a baby, the baby will grow, but it will be malnourished, right? And so there's a difference between a healthy growing baby and a growing baby that is malnourished, because the baby may well be 3 months, 6 months, 10 months, 1 year, but not necessarily look like that. Likewise, a healthy baby is a baby that is that has someone intentionally caring for their growth, and you have to be that for yourself. You have to be intentional about your growth, because the truth is, you're not going to grow just as you desire, right? So you're not going to become who you're meant to be if you're not intentional about growing and changing, not just your environment, but yourself as well. So I hope this has been valuable to you. Let me know if there's anything else that you would add or change to this. And until I come your way next time, remember that you're going to need people in order to grow and to fulfill your purpose and your destiny. But you want to make sure that the people are the right people that are sustaining you, that are giving life to you, and not people that are, sucking the life out of you, and people that are taking the very foundations from under your feet. So stay put, be amazing, be awesome, and grow in every single way that you possibly can. Take care. And that's all for this week. You've been listening to Dr. Tina Allton with the Now Talks, the weekly podcast for women in leadership, brought to you by Nations of Women. All that remains is for me to say, have a fantastic week, stay safe, and reach out if you need any help now at nationsofwomen.com. Until next time, enjoy the pursuit of your potential, and remember, now is your time.